What's up, guys? We're back with the 20th episode of the 5D Warrior podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Corey.
As always, with John.
I'm John.
And breaking news
Breaking news. I'll read you the email. The New York Times, breaking news, 5:08 p.m. A gunman killed 14 children and a teacher at a Texas elementary school, the governor said. The gunman was also killed. The gunman was an 18-year-old man who had abandoned his vehicle and entered the school in Uvalde with a handgun and possibly a rifle.
So, what possesses somebody to inflict distortions like that on the world? You bring it into a consciousness perspective of what
had to be going on in his head to commit such a heinous act. And how do we stop that from happening through the power of consciousness?
Because I feel that's almost ego just projecting through and just distorting the world.
Pure hatred upon the world. You're just projecting pure, the most raw form of a negative vibration onto all of those people who will be their energy has been manipulated negatively, probably for the rest of their lives until they could hopefully heal from
just a
that
traumatic
trauma.
Yeah, I mean that's something to heal from, obviously, for those people, but
That's
for that
so
person, that shooter too, if he wasn't killed, you're sitting in a jail cell, what type of inner work do you think would even be able to overcome something like that, or do you think it's even possible?
Well, you were talking, what was that guy's name you were telling me about?
Oh,
who was wrongfully convicted for a murder back in the 80s, 90s.
Wrongfully corrected. His name was Damien Echols.
Yeah, he was one of he was a group of Satanists, a young teenager like ourselves. There was a murder in town, and they pinned it on the Satanists in a relatively strong faith Catholic community. So,
and he was wrongfully put on death row, and he sat in a prison cell for quite a long time, and he used this prison sentence as sort of a monastic period of his life and using the jail as his own monastery, essentially. And he was practicing magic with the CK to distinguish it from pulling rabbits out of hats, obviously.
Yes.
And he did deep inner work through that whole time. And he has a great episode of Midnight Gospel with Duncan Trussell. Shout out Duncan Trussell, he's the man.
Duncan Trussell.
And they discuss about how magic healed him throughout his life and how his time in prison, he can't look back on it with any disdain because of how much it actually propelled his spiritual progress. And he was like, I don't even know if I'd be alive right now had that not happened to me. I thought that was really compelling to see that, because you would have trauma from being wrongfully convicted for that crime.
A lot of hate, just negative raw emotion. Because who wouldn't be wrongfully convicted and then your life gets thrown away by other people, projecting what they believe to be true onto you when it might not necessarily be true. And then as far as that shooter in Texas, if he had that time in prison maybe for the rest of his life, would he be able to reverse and heal from such a negative conscious act? It's a question. It's
very questionable.
18-year-old kid
with that
has 60 years maybe to sit in prison.
To sit in prison. But he did kill himself in that Texas case. So he won't be able to do that inner work. He's going to go do it in the shadow realm or wherever he's going.
Yeah, where do you think, in a consciousness aspect, in the densities of the law of one, where do you think a soul like that goes?
I think a soul like that, obviously, bless you.
Excuse me.
Projects outwards, obviously, as a normal soul would, or back to source in a sense, but that individual soul would have to do much inner work before it incarnates again to ensure no destruction as it had in this lifetime. I think that they only put a pure soul in the form of a child, so they wouldn't let a distorted soul such as that one be reincarnated and not be pure. Because think about the consciousness in a child and how pure, essence, it's singular.
Yeah, because it's coming from the second dimension, which is that of just those beings, those animals, those high conscious animals just experience.
Well, not necessarily the second dimension. I think, because think about the thousands of lifetimes you've lived. This wouldn't be the first time you incarnated as a third dimensional, because we're stuck in this for millions and millions of years.
Nah, you're right on that. But yeah, that soul was just not pure. It got distorted on the earth plane, which can happen to people. It's extremely unfortunate. but you get too caught up in this three-dimensional plane of existence, you get caught up in the matrix, and that will happen to people. That's happening now more and more every day, but on the opposite side, more and more people are waking up every day. So like, it's the balance. Like we always say, the yin and the yang. But
The balance. I like to talk about Thanos and how he maybe wasn't the bad guy. I mean, in that case, you're talking about the balance beforehand, which that could relate to Moon Knight.
Like
as you guys see.
even in the Eternals too, like that Celestial was like blowing up cities, or not cities, blowing up planets essentially for the greater good of all of the universe. But those Eternals wanted to protect us on Earth because they loved us so much, because we were like the first like pure planet that was like that of love. And but like when you think about it in like a cosmic realm of consciousness, like maybe the Celestial and like the guy Icarus weren't so bad at all, because they're saving us for maybe for us to destroy ourselves.
Saving themselves as well. Like when you look at the universe as an outward manifestation of yourself and experience all that oneness, they are seeing themselves being destroyed, but they're also forgetting about themselves that is also being born through that planet. If you've seen Eternals, sorry if we're spoiling this for you, but
hey, if you haven't seen it by now, not my problem.
Disclaim spoilers. But Moon Knight, back to that perspective too, is the free will. Should the karma come after they commit the karmic act, or should the karma come before they're able to commit that evil act?
That's a good question with the god of Amet and what was his name? The old man, like the guy, like the villain.
I'm not sure.
I forget.
It's
Whatever.
okay.
But he used the power of the god Amet, who wants to essentially kill off those who have karmic unbalances before they commit karmic acts to ensue that unbalance. So like, they would be able to tell if someone was going to commit a crime that would be punishable by death before they even commit it. And is it right to kill them off before they commit the act, like right on spot, or do you wait to see if they could possibly heal before that act happens and maybe not commit it at all? And when do you pay for that?
Because I feel that soul would still be pure, because that karma hasn't been released outwards yet, so they're still retaining it within that pureness. I think that the karma definitely has to come after, because they're looking at it as an energy perspective and just seeing positive and negative energy flowing through you as a being out into the universe, and they know if you're going to do it after that point.
Yeah,
but
and like Moon Knight's scale was unbalanced because he was dealing with those other projections of himself, which were really just him the whole time. And like the unbound, like when your consciousness, you die on this plane and then go somewhere else, like, well, you will have to pay for that karma one way or another, whether you believe it, whatever religion you will believe, some way or another, you'll have that karma.
Not only just pay for that karma, but also receive that karma if you're spreading positive vibrations and energy out to the universe.
Yeah, because karma isn't always bad. It's good too.
It's just
people
energy.
put a negative perception on karma.
Yeah, well, it's just these labels that we put on things that don't actually hold a meaning. Like, negative energy isn't bad energy. Negative energy is negative energy. It's what it is. Positive energy isn't good. Positive energy
It's just energy. Everything's
just
just raw energy, and we give it labels to identify as what it is. Like, for example, we had Eric on here talking about how, like, if he gets angry or something, or like upset, he just channels that. He sits with that energy and just uses the negative energy, quote unquote, to do something, make a positive out of it. But he's only able to do that because it's only what he's identifying that energy.
And that's energy transmutation. You're taking that energy in and transmuting it into a positive form of energy. When you have that negative feeling in you of depression or angst or guilt, and you just sit with it and you experience that negative energy, you're going to process it and you can expel it out positively.
Yeah, another thing, the greatest thing to know on the spiritual path is that your emotions are separate from your, like, thoughts. Thoughts and emotions are separated. So, like, you could be feeling a bunch of things, because, like, when anything happens to you, you're gonna have a rush of thoughts and emotions, but you have to learn to separate them, and because when you can just sit with the thoughts and not have the emotions tied with it, that's when you could project them outward and do more creative, more positive things. Like Eric talks about, he does, like, art when he's angry, but, like, he's using that raw energy and manipulating it and turning it to positive.
And using that metaphysical energy that hasn't became anything in this physical realm yet, and he transforms that into art, which is something special, which is a creation, right? But think about all these things that we can create on this planet
That's all we're
as
put
we
here
were
to
created.
do. That's all. That's why the entrepreneurs and stuff in life are always the ones that get rewarded by the universe, and they're the wealthy ones, and they're well off in all facets of their lives. They're healthy, this, that, because they're constantly creating. They're constantly changing the reality of this dimension. So like with that, the universe will reward you. You don't get rewarded for going and sitting at a 9 to 5 in a cubicle all day for 40 years and then retiring, coming home every day, sitting on your couch. You probably don't like your wife and kids. You're just mad at the world, and you just sedate yourself with Netflix. If you do that, the universe might not reward you and you'll just continue to transpire negative.
But if you
karma
put
in your life.
if you put that karma, that energy that you're processing in your body out in a creative way, in a positive way, spreading it to other people, and creation doesn't just have to be on a paintbrush or a guitar. Your creation could just be relationships as well, creating a family, like we talk about, sitting on the couch, and a loving relationship and bonds with these different beings on the planet. If you're able to put that energy into bonds that last and creations that you can look back a long time from now and maybe recognize, I think that's much more powerful than doing these short-term kind of things that, like, I don't know, we could go build a tree house right now.
Yeah.
That would be creative.
Anything creative, like, essentially, when you create constantly, you are playing God in this dimension, right? Because we always say we're all God, but we're all just raw energy. So when you keep creating raw energy, that's all the infinite is, right? It's just infinitely manipulating energy into physical dimensions. So like, I just thought of this, like, when you play a game, like, you're excited to play the game, like, the game is fun, right? If you just gamify, they do this in businesses too, they gamify things to make it less, like, torturous for the employees and stuff. If you gamify playing God in your life, and you play God on this plane of existence, sooner or later, reality will catch up to you, and you will be rewarded for
It's that fake it till you make it.
It's essentially the fake it till you make it. And it's like, if you think every day, oh, like, I'm gonna do this good act and like create this content, blah, but whatever you end up doing, like,
we're not in it for the money, we're in it for an energy principle of putting positive vibrations out.
that's
Like I put that through my music when I play, and I put that through the artwork I've been doing, and I try and put that out on TikTok and YouTube, and try and spread consciousness.
Yeah, and through spreading consciousness, that's like, everyone should buy this book. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and it's using like consciousness and spirituality to manipulate the energy, which is money, right? Money's energy like anything else. So when you look at money as consciousness, as energy of itself, the whole idea of it is that you could manipulate it, like by continuing to create. Like, money is just like, it's just paper, right, at the end of the day. So like, it's just an exchange of energy. That's all it ever is. So like, when you learn how to manipulate energy through like meditation and doing conscious acts, like, it is much easier for people to obtain that energy, and like, you'll be rewarded in abundance, like, by putting abundance out.
And that's the donation, like, philanthropy perspective of putting that money out and you'll receive it. And I think that's very true in a sense, because if you look at money as energy, all the energy you put out will return to you. And whether that's money, you're putting that money out and you're receiving that energy in monetary value or other means, it's all it is energy. Whatever value you associate with money, you're putting that label on it, and that's not what it actually is.
Yeah, and like, I was just thinking about this right now, like, we're trying to get, end goal with this is like 5D wellness centers, like the 5D schools, like,
yeah,
we just like want to put as much energy out to raise the collective. That's all we're trying to do here. And collective as in consciousness, the whole idea of oneness consciousness. The more that we can create
a community around consciousness
of conscious people, because in a conscious world, there is only love and light in a conscious world.
And think of these conversations we have. We get done with this conversation, it's almost a meditation in sense.
It is. It's
when we're having these conscious conversations.
Flow states of existence just by talking out loud. We're putting, just by us talking, our words.
And that's a creation in itself.
Well, like, words cast spells. We were talking about the magic in the beginning with the CK. that's another part of that, is that the words that you're projecting into the universe have power. That's why it's called spelling, because you're just casting spells, right?
Exactly.
But like with that, we're projecting our voices out into the universe, and something's listening. Maybe it's not you guys, but something out there is listening to us talk right now. I hope it would be more of you guys.
Hopefully more of you guys.
Hopefully more of you
We're
guys.
trying to build a
something's
community,
listening.
and it's been growing. And I
It has
appreciate
been.
all
We're
the followers.
grateful.
We
We're
have a
all-
merch store now.
Yeah, we're
as
grateful.
well. We're very grateful.
Eternally grateful for the just the
Just
good
the
faith,
energy
the
that
good
we're
love
getting. Like,
that you guys have
you think
brought
about it,
into
we've
our
been
lives.
posting for four months now, and we've got almost 300,000 likes, and some people blow up quicker than that, but it doesn't matter. We have 31 point something thousand followers that listen to what we have to say all the time, and it's just crazy to think that many people, like, you can't even like fathom that many people in front of you.
Exactly, and it's like with that, when that keeps growing, we could do things like this, like put out our merch to spread the message even more, and to give back to you guys in a sense. Because by you guys showing us love and gaining followers and stuff, we could do better things for you, and like that will take us and help us grow the brand. If you guys really,
And not just grow
ride
the
with us.
brand, just grow consciousness.
Grow-
And
that's-
it's
but that-
the
when I say
global
the
awakening.
brand-
Exactly. The
the
brand of
brand
getting to the
is
5D.
That's the 5D brand, but like
Yeah.
the brand is the All we're
Exactly.
trying to do here is to wake up the collective.
Exactly.
Like,
Because we are part of this global shift in consciousness. And
Yes.
You see the world awaken. You see more people taking care of their bodies, and that's the first step. You see a huge movement of people going to the gym on social media, and yoga and qigong and all these different meditations and practices that they're going through. And
everything.
all of that is meditation in a sense, becoming mindful, becoming aware of yourself and
Yeah.
your environment, and becoming aware of your emotions is key too. And all these different ways of just interacting with our world through camping, hiking, biking, surfing, skiing.
Anything
connects
that's
you.
out in nature getting active, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, but definitely if you want to get out in nature, you might need some new drip. So go check out the 5D merch store. There's a ton of cool stuff. We'll drop the link in
And we'll have
bio.
some new designs coming
Like and
hopefully
subscribe.
this
We
week
never
and
say
next
that.
week.
We never say
Yeah,
like
hopefully
and
subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you guys. But with that, check out the merch store, and we got to call someone out today.
I think we're calling out the Pope today. We haven't called out the Pope. The Vatican. We're calling out the Catholic Church.
Pope Francis. You're a lizard too.
Possibly. And you see all the serpent symbolism that they have in their churches. And you see the blood magic rituals that used to go on in ancient times. And you just see the corruption in the Catholic Church with the
Extremely
papal inquisitions and
The papal
these different things. And it's
Inquisitions, wow.
this
Yeah.
religion is designed to keep
Control.
you down and sedate you and look for an external God and forget what you are inside and forget what everybody else is inside this
Yep.
whole planet.
So use that creation to create infinitely, just like us, just like everyone else that's out there that also is you and also is us.
God in drag. We talked about it
God
last
in
video.
drag.
God in drag. The entire world is just God,
God
and
in
any
drag.
label you put on it. Oh, look, that's God in the form of a stripper. What? Oh, look, it's God in the form of bamboo. I didn't realize.
Yeah, but it's all just there to distract you from your true being, and so don't let distortions get in your way of getting to the
5D. Appreciate you. And we're watching your YouTube.
Adon A.
As
We're
always.
watching YouTube.